So this is a pen that we use for pigs. I think up till the beginning of this year, some natural grass is seeded on it, which we fed a couple of sheep on for a few days. So it's pretty short now. We're about to put a couple of old kind of rubbish big bales from, not from this year because we've got quite nice bales this year, but the previous year. So they're pretty old and they've got the wrap damage, they're a bit mouldy and stuff. So we're going to put them out on this to just give a bit of ground cover, and then we'll put the pigs on it for a little while, and we'll put some pigs on it for a little while, and they'll just root through and mix the organic kind of matter in with the soil, which should help improve the soil, give the worms something to eat, and the pigs will eat a bit of it as well, I expect. So yeah, and then we'll probably reseed it then in the spring, I think. So here are the, well, first 4 old bales of silage just rolled out on the ground in this particular pig pen. We'll probably have space for another 2 or 3, I think. So it's basically just like a big carpet for the pigs, so it gives them something to eat, something to play with, and it helps feed the worms. And then we'll plant it with probably kale, I think, then in the spring for the lambs to eat about this time next year. So pigs for the winter, kale for the summer, and then late summer, early autumn we'll have the lambs in on it, and then we'll put the pigs on it after them. So just walking through a sort of scruffy bit of the yard where we're going to put the shed up, and we stood on something sharp. I thought, what the heck is that? Took my boot off, shook it, nothing in there, turned it over, a little off-cutter barb went straight through with my welly and into my foot. A bit annoying. So the Welsh mountain ewes we've just got, just setting it in, so we're keeping them in the yard. Or just they can dump their worms on the yard really if they had any. So we've just got a bale at the moment, first bale we've opened of the year. Quite a nice looking bale. Okay, so we've got our, 4 of the rams that we're going to use just behind the electric fence in the orchard. Did it with some other sheep about a month or 6 weeks ago for a couple of days, bigger group of sheep but just for a day or two. And it worked really well. It just grazed between the trees and we protected the fruit trees and bushes. So we've done exactly the same thing now, but the problem is forge is rather destructive. So you can see we sometimes have our sandwiches over here, so we've got a picnic bench and seat and table. Well, he's knocked that over, and then you can see a big Texel lump. It basically absolutely obliterated pretty much every bit of the electric fence you can possibly imagine. So it's still live, so the other sheep are actually not touching it, they're ignoring it completely fine. Problem is Forge doesn't seem bothered by electric fences, so I don't know if you can see, but he's just basically smashed his way through just about everywhere, and up here he's basically managed to, probably got tangled in it at some point and just decided just to put it all over. So it's basically useless to him, still seems to be working for all the others, because none of them seem to be getting out. You can see there should be 5 strands. He's even knocked a pole over there. So in fairness to him, he doesn't seem to have eaten any of our fruit trees or bushes yet. Just seems to have stomped his way around. So I guess we'll probably have to find something else to do with these. The other rams don't seem bothered, although they seem to have moved the bench. So the other bench is there under Apollo. Maybe he's using it to, or they were using it to try to look at the ewes, or some of the ewes next to them. You see, we've got quite a small, old-fashioned sort of holding. So we've got an orchard, some pigs in one of what we call the poultry pens, just 3 of them, and then some of the ewes over here. They've got a bale at the moment, because we're trying to, we've got one really good field of grass at the moment where we could put them in, but we want to put them with the other ewes and put them all in it at once. But the other ewes want to have a decent quarantine period, the ones we got on the weekend, so the Welsh mountain ewes. I don't want them mixing with our ewes just yet because I don't know. Still a chance they could have a disease or they might have scab or something, which we definitely don't want ours getting. They shouldn't have. I don't think they have. They don't look like they have. But better safe than sorry. So really, everything's going quite swimmingly, except for Forge. Really friendly, chunky Texel, but he seems to enjoy playing with things that really he shouldn't be playing with. Actually, I think he's eating some of that tree. Well, hopefully he produces some nice lambs. So literally just pulled up at the gate, and there is one of the new mountain ewes literally stood on top of the hay rack. Well, she was. So she was eating the best bits off the top, which I guess is a fairly shrewd move of hers, really.
Thank you so much for watching our vlogs. Please do remember to hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so then you'll never miss one of our videos.
People often ask, how do we keep white pigs outside in the summer, especially when it's hot? It's September now, so it's not really hot, but it was fairly warm today. You can see the pigs have just kind of dealt with it themselves, found a wallow, made a wallow. We quite like ours being outside, to be honest, so yes, they do get muddy, but it's the mud that protects them from the sun, so that does mean they get to spend their time outside on a hot day and not have any problems.
Okay, so looking at her feet, so which sections?
Just slightly overgrown.
And this section here as well, isn't
just
it?
a little bit. You can see they're starting to break, so we're just tidying them up a little bit. They're really not bad, but they're just give them a little tidy. Like that's a little stone between the two digits. It's going to irritate them.
You're going to have a bit of a manicure pedicure, aren't you?
It's really not. They're really not bad, but just we don't get these in very often.
Seeing as they're in here, we might as well.
Be quiet.
You want to make sure you leave, because they walk on the rim, so you don't want to cut them lower than the pad. So you want, this needs to stand slightly proud. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Slightly proud of the soft pad, so they've got something hard to walk on. See, that one's worn away a little bit, so that's a bit under there. Doesn't really do much to that foot, but they're not bad, to be honest. And you can see they've worn them off a little bit, but just because we don't get these in very often, we might as well just.
Well, we're here.
Some people cut feet, some people don't. There's a bit of dirt in there.
Does that depend on the ground that they're on, or what?
Yeah, well, if they're on really soft ground, their feet can get quite bad quite quickly.
And I suppose if they're on harder ground, do they wear down naturally?
Yeah, because they're originally kind of from mountainy areas.
That makes sense.
Did I do that one, yeah? Ooh. Like Flo, Sid's sheep.
Oh, I always called her Lookie because she used to like to look in my pockets.
Okay.
I would always find her with her head wedged in my pocket trying to find something interesting.
Check her mouth before you let her go. So that's Cream. She's one of our first ever sheep. So we brought 4 Shetland sheep. Right back at the beginning.
They're good.
You need to get it in at the side.
I know, I was just checking the teeth.
You give it a 1.
No.
You gave it 2.
Yeah.
Did you give it 2? Okay. So she's very thin, but I think she's just getting over worms. So she's a full mouth ewe now, but
She produces lovely lambs.
she had a single this year, but really lovely, stocky, sort of pretty lamb. She's unusual, so she's a Shetland Dartmoor cross again.
How was the drenching, Sid? It was really good fun, but it's hard when they're like running through because they're really nimble and they just try go for you. Some of them are the smaller ones, like the hogs, are the height of my knees, so what they run and like clip the edge of my knee, and it's like ow. And it's like yeah. It was fun.
So now we're just going to Maros, where we have got some lambs. We're going to vitamin drench them, just like we did the other sheep earlier. So yeah, that's it really. Just one 5mm.
Yep.
Thanks.
So this little girl is quite tiny, but there's a story behind her, isn't there?
Yeah, we called her Hookie. She got her mouth stuck on the hook of a bungee cord that was tying her gate up when she was a few days old, and it literally punctured her cheek. And she was actually kind of, the more she pulled, the more it stretched, and the more stuck it got. But we kind of cleaned her up, and she kind of did all right, really. She's small, and she's always been a bit behind, but I imagine she'll be she'll end up being a keeper, really, even though she shouldn't be. A bit like Scraggy, exactly, yeah. So earlier we were talking about Scraggy, who had fly strike. He was a fairly early lamb we had, and she was always meant for meat, really, but we ended up keeping her as a ewe, and I imagine we'll do something similar with her on her afternoon, to be honest. But you know, she'd been on it a couple of hours, I think, and it was at lambing, so I think I was checking 3 times a day, 4 times a day, so it would have only been a couple of hours. But yeah, no, she was pleased to see me.
Okay, whilst we were checking the sheep, we've just discovered that this girl has... What was it? Managed to felt some bramble into her fleece. So we're just cutting that out, because obviously that can't stay in. It wouldn't do her any good.
Can't be very comfortable.
No.
That's kind of it.
Is that all out?